My name is Jack Snell
My name is Louis Meany.
of House of Wolves Fine Art, Craft, and Curio. We do a lot of different work, mostly focusing on nature and using natural materials. We try to use materials that we harvest ourselves or gather from other local sources mostly. We do a variety of work, drawings, paintings, sculptures, bug pinning, taxidermy, all sorts of things, kind of combining a bunch of different mediums to make kind of a unified aesthetic on kind of the themes of nature, both things that are really beautiful and positive about nature, and then some of the darker, scarier sides of it too.
We try to source our sources very carefully. First of all, that everything is collected legally, ethically, safely, and also depending on which states things are coming from and where they're going, because each state also has different laws on top of federal ones, and there's also international laws to be aware of. Some of it I'm already aware of because I was very into reptiles for a long time, so there's also ethical and moral quandaries with that hobby as well. But when it comes to sourcing raw material for projects and whatnot, the insects and the hides, the claws, the bones that we use, we try to always go to sources who again do everything above board and try to get their things from people who hunt for food, hunt for sustenance and their survival. We met a couple years ago, actually, online, and we grew a friendship through that. And actually, our first meeting in person was at one of the Mill Number 5 events, the Oddities Marketplace. So that's kind of cool that we've stayed in this area, and we've kind of grown in this area. Now we have a studio here. Now we sell things here. And we both had these interests independently, and they've just kind of we've grown our interests even further together. I've always found the beauty in the macabre, finding things in the woods, bones and bits of creatures left over from the predators in the area getting hold of the little things around me. I personally, I've had a lot of hip surgery, so I've always kind of been in the macabre. I've grown up seeing my bones on an x-ray machine, so that's always fascinated me, and that fascination has grown over the years too. I want to see the bones of other things, and I want to make beautiful things out of it, because all things unfortunately have to come to an end, and I don't think the end is something to be super afraid of necessarily, and I think there's a lot to experience and see in that, and do so in safe, healthy ways.
Some people treat it kind of like a museum,
yeah,
or like a petting zoo, like an educational experience.
Educational petting zoo.
It's very much something that a lot of people have never seen before, especially when it's just the general public. Some of the other stuff we do, it'll be a lot of people who are into the same things we are, and so it won't be anything new to them. But when people come in off the streets from Lowell, it's always interesting, and it's always really fun to kind of explore our subject matter with them in a way that they might not have seen before. Mm-hmm. One thing that's great about Lowell is it's affordable. The studios building is a great resource for us because we can actually afford to pay to stay there just with the work that we are doing right now, which is something that I really could not find even years ago when I was looking for my studio space originally. I first got to the studio building in 2018, and it was significantly less diverse then, but over the past maybe 3 years, it's changed a lot, and it is still changing, which I think is a really good thing, and it makes, I think, kind of everyone who is there feel better and more included. I know I definitely feel a lot more comfortable there now with having a lot wider demographics in the studio building. And then also, we just spend a lot of time networking with other small business owners and finding ones that are also from minority groups, and kind of connecting and building off each other, supporting each other by buying each other's work, working together, whatever we can do.
Some of the barriers are honestly like financial. If you don't have like some finances to kind of fund things, it can be really hard because some things are super costly to start. That's actually why we kind of like the bug pinning things, because that's actually pretty low cost for the raw material. Like you can go forage for background items like the moss, the sticks, the stones, like that you can at least find for free. And the bugs themselves are honestly like not super expensive to get a hold of usually. And you can sometimes get bulk packs for like wicked cheap.
We do not live in Lowell. We would like to have an apartment here, but we just can't afford to have the studio and keep doing the work that we're doing full time while also having an apartment. We live with family right now. Saves a lot of money, but it does make it really difficult because you have to drive, like 45 minutes to get home after working at the studio all day or before getting there. And it can make it really difficult if we have a lot of work we need to do and we're really tired and we've been working all night. Like, we don't have the energy to drive. We don't have it, and that's, housing cost is really hard because if we can't live near the studio, we can't do as much work. And I know a lot of people feel similarly. There's some people in our studio building who live in Maine and they only get to come down to the studios like once a week, and so they're not making nearly as much work as they would like to. We believe that it is absolutely crucial to help whoever we can. Anytime we have anyone coming into our studio that is also an artist and is interested in what we are doing and wants advice, wants help, we will absolutely give them our email, be like, please email us. We want to help you learn how to break into this. It's really hard as a struggling artist to build your career, and it will get infinitely easier if you have the right connections, and we acknowledge that, and we want to help people get those connections. And if we are that connection, or we know someone who might be that connection, we want to connect them with that. And we hope other people would do the same for us, and they do. We have had people who have helped us a lot with things like that. So I think it's just like, it is crucial to help people. And we also acknowledge that we do come from a place of some privilege. Like, we can spend, I work this full time. I don't work right now. And that is like such a privilege to be able to focus entirely on this and not have to work a full-time job. And I want to be able to share that with whoever I can, whoever might benefit from that. So if I can take time out of my day to help other people who might not be able to do that, I will absolutely do that.
I think of this one like older woman who came in, and she was so excited to see what we were doing because she's like, my daughter is into this and she doesn't know who to talk to about it. So like, she asked us like so many questions. Like, she stayed for a while and we talked about it. We gave her resources, like who in the area can she go to for like taxidermy classes, like what stores she might like her daughter might like to find like clothes that are into her like style and ambiance. Like, we gave like her like our information, like, please, like, we would love to help you and your daughter like be able to grow this interest, because it's hard when you're a teenager and being into things. Like, it's awesome that her mom was like so supportive of it, and like, because like growing up, like, I grew up with my grandparents and they were kind of like, you got some weird interest, kid.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see like that like undying support from like a parent, like, yes, my child, I'm gonna find you people to help you learn and grow in this. And like, that's the stuff like we love to do.
And it kind of ties back to what you were talking about earlier, where like, she had been mentioning that her daughter was having trouble breaking into this kind of thing because she wasn't really finding her place. And so we were really happy that she saw us as people who could help her find that place, because we definitely want to be very community oriented in that aspect. We know that like our subject matter can be scary or seem like something that's really like off-putting to a lot of people, but we actually like really care about building community, helping other people who are also interested in the same things we are. My biggest advice to artists would be, don't worry about everything being perfect at all, and do what you really truly want to do. For a long time when I was younger, I definitely tried to force myself to do a lot of work that I thought would be popular, that I thought would get me money, and it just did not work. Nobody was interested, and people can sense that you aren't genuine in what you are doing, and you find it harder to make time to do your work because you don't want to be doing it. So if you can find something that you're really passionate about, no matter what it is, it doesn't matter if you think people will not like it or be interested at all, that is what you should be doing, and you will find it so much easier to find time and to find resources to do that. Because if you're really passionate about it, you will be compelled to do it, and you will find the resources and the time.
And I did similar, like, growing up, like, I tried to do a lot of, like, pet portraits, pet art, because people love their pets and are always, like, willing to buy into that market. But for me, like, that wasn't feeding my soul. Like, it was great seeing, like, people being happy with what they were getting, but, like, for me, I was like, well, that was 10 hours, but I wish I had been doing something else. Like, so the money was nice, it just wasn't for me. But and now, like, the things that we're doing, like, I just feel so much happier. Like, I look at what we're looking and I look at, like, the reactions to the things that we're doing, and I'm like, wow, this is great. Like, I love open studios because I love watching people come in and be like, wow, look at that, look at this. And I'm like, yes, this is what I needed all those years ago. And I just haven't gotten, because I was like, I need to do things to survive. Like, I need to do this, I need to do that. But now I can do things to survive and be happy at the same time.
And because we love what we're doing, even if we make something that isn't our best work, we can still appreciate it for what it is, and we don't feel bad about it being a mistake, which is really valuable. And we're a lot more successful with getting our work out there and having people actually recognize it and enjoy it, and even it being profitable, because people can sense that we're very genuine about what we're doing and that we love what we're doing and want to share it with them.
If you're not happy with what you're doing, it's going to keep you up at night, because there's a part of you that isn't being, like, responded to, that isn't growing, that isn't, like, thriving. It might be surviving, limping along with whatever it is that you're doing, but I don't know, if it makes you the happiest you can be, I think, like, artists should pursue that instead of, like, what's the most original, what's going to get me the most money, what's going to get me the most recognition. I think it is more about, like, what is fulfilling you, what is making you happy, what are you going to remember you for, versus, like, what is everyone else going to remember you for.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Personal satisfaction is definitely the most important to me too. And honestly, I find that all of the other aspects kind of follow if you really just dive into making what is going to make you the happiest. And even if it doesn't, you will be happier because you will know that you are doing exactly what you want to be doing.